Nancy and I found someone to interview to give you all a better perspective on the difficulties that foster teens face, and to give you a better understanding and a different perspective. On this slide here, you'll see where we have listed the questions and the interviewee's answers. But the big takeaway that we got from the interview is that being separated from family and leaving home is one of the biggest difficulties. And then being taken away from this place that they know, this is the only place that they know, taken away and being placed into a strange location surrounded by strange people is pretty traumatic. And this just doesn't happen once. It usually happens various times. They're placed from home to home. And if they're lucky enough, some foster kids do find a permanent placement eventually, and maybe are even lucky enough to be adopted. But majority don't. Majority bounce around from home to home until eventually they age out. But this whole situation creates an environment in which these kids make it really hard for them to trust people. If they are unable to trust people and open up, then they are unable to establish a strong support system. We mentioned earlier in the presentation that establishing a strong support system is crucial for these foster kids to transition successfully into adulthood. We also saw from this interview that having resources like if it's their foster parent, if they're lucky enough to have a good, strong role model from their foster parent, in this case, the interviewee did have a strong role model. They were a strong resource for them. They were able to be supplied with things that they needed for home, for school, in order to be successful. School was also mentioned as a good resource. School allowed them, obviously, to learn skills that they would need, but most importantly for them, to establish friendships, to be more confident in establishing friendships and participating in activities. This person in particular did feel comfortable with going out, being on their own, becoming independent, and finding a job. But they did mention that from their experience they did see other foster kids that were not as prepared as they should be. And this is the ongoing problem from my research that I've gathered and from this interview that I've seen, that a lot of kids are not prepared. They're not prepared to transition into this different role, the role of an adult. Then later on we see the problems of a lot of foster kids aging out of the system and then becoming homeless. And then they might get into, they just face very difficult situations. Now, if they were prepared, as what we hope to achieve, that they are prepared enough to transition out successfully, then hopefully, they won't face these difficulties. Now, the interviewee did mention that one resource they would like to see is more awareness of the struggles that kids go through. There is a general understanding that, yes, the foster system is extremely difficult for these children. But there needs to be more awareness. They need to have more detailed information on what really that they go through, so that these people, whoever they may be, friends, teachers, that they're more aware of of these struggles so that they may be able to help them, give them more, extend more help to them so that they could then be successful, so that they can keep in their mind, okay, this person might need more help than these people, and I need to make sure that they do get the help that they need.